Today's video, I want to share with you guys an unexpected side effect of quitting cannabis that I experienced after struggling with a cannabis substance use disorder for several years of my life. And that's the building of resilience, becoming a more resilient individual. And resilience is one of those traits that defines people who are successful in life. If you're new to the channel, my name is Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset recovery coaching programs, and I have the goal of making sobriety accessible to everyone. I want you guys to check out the links in the pinned comment in the video description at the end of today's video for more resources on how to quit consuming cannabis. There's a lot of things that occurred after I quit cannabis. Better physical health, better mental health, more energy, my finances improved, my relationships improved. But you have to ask yourself, why did all of these things improve since stopping the consumption of cannabis? And you could say, well, yeah, you're not spending money anymore on it. Yeah, you're not spending your time and energy on it, so maybe you have better relationships. Sure, you're not smoking, so your physical health improved. But that's not really why. It wasn't the act of stopping consuming cannabis that changed all those things in my life. For me, quitting substances, whether it was nicotine, THC, energy drinks, adult media content, was a challenge. And it was in the persistence of sobriety, saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this, and remaining committed to my decision to no longer consume those things, that I became a more resilient individual. And having resilience as a character trait is super important. Because whether you're trying to build your business, whether you're trying to grow your side hustle, whether you're trying to save money and you invest, whether you're trying to strengthen a relationship or get into a new relationship and make it last, whether it's related to your physical health and your workouts and your nutrition, you need to have resilience. It could be in your faith practice to succeed at each of those areas of life. Without resilience, you won't wind up achieving success, right? I've heard a quote once before, and it was, resilience is the shadow of success and it's the enemy of failure. Resilience. And it wasn't through anything else. And look, I've had to be resilient through a lot of things, right? I have a doctorate in chiropractic that was 7.5 years of schooling. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a private practice among other businesses that I run, and that required resilience. But it wasn't until I had to practice being committed to not smoking weed in all these different scenarios, right? Through life's hardships, through life, like the really sad times in life, not smoking through the celebratory times in life, not smoking around peer groups who still consume cannabis to this day, not falling for the marketing and advertising that I'm surrounded by 24/7 here in New York. This vape shop opened, this cannabis store opened. In the beginning when I quit, I had to be resilient in each of those different scenarios. And I didn't realize it when I was getting sober and when I was going through withdrawal. You got to have resilience to get through the withdrawal. I didn't realize that I was strengthening that character trait, that muscle of resilience. And I definitely didn't realize that I was going to be able to apply the practice of resilience or that character trait to my business, to my relationships, to my physical fitness, my exercise, my diet, my nutrition, to faith practice. I had no idea that it was through quitting weed, practicing sobriety, that I was going to become a more resilient individual. And I'll tell you, resilience is a character trait that I think makes life much easier. The more resilient you are, the more easier life becomes. Because when you're resilient in your business, in your relationship, in your pursuit of physical health, nothing stops you. It doesn't matter what challenge comes up. It doesn't matter what injury happens. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world politically or in your own private home or in your life. You're resilient. You're determined to get back up and keep coming back and keep trying and to move past those temporary failures that you experience along the way. You can gain this from quitting cannabis. And guess what? For those of you who are watching this who are really struggling to quit, you've tried many times and you failed, this is something to get excited about. a lot of times in our coaching programs, we'll talk to people about, the reasons why they want to quit, why they want to stop. What are your goals? What are the things you're trying to achieve? And sometimes people don't really have specifics that come to mind. Maybe your specific thing could be that you want to develop the character trait of being a more resilient individual, because then you can apply that character trait to different challenges and different aspects of your life as they come up. And ultimately, that's going to lead to you being a more successful individual. Now, real quick, before we continue, we have our channel sponsor, Exploro. And if you're in the process of quitting cannabis, I highly recommend you check out their products. This is a 3-level THC test kit. It's an at-home drug test. Now, certainly if you're applying for a job or a new career and you got a drug test, you're going to want a drug test at home before you go in. But I like this kit because it actually allows you to track your THC detox, because the strips in here test at 100 ng per ml of cannabis, 50 ng per ml, and 20 ng per ml. Now, why would this be relevant if you're quitting cannabis? Because a lot of times when people quit, they're going through those withdrawals, they're practicing and exercising resilience to push through those, but maybe they're 20, 30 days in and they're like, I can't believe I still have some of these symptoms. What I'll recommend they do is pick up a test kit like this. We'll test to see at what level of THC detox they're at, and then that can help to explain some of the symptoms they are or not experiencing. Testing at home can also help a lot with accountability. I say people track weight loss, people track workout routines, people track their sleep. Why wouldn't you track your THC detox? If you're testing positive at 100 ng per ml in your urine and then 50, and maybe it's 2 weeks and you're thinking about wavering in your resilience and going back to smoking, just knowing that you're going to be drug testing at 20 ng per ml maybe the following week might be enough to keep you motivated and keep you going. It's almost like weighing yourself on the scale when you're starting a new diet or a new exercise regimen. So check out Exploro. They're one of our channel sponsors. I put a link to the product in the pinned comment in the video description. Now, on the topic of resilience, it's not only resilience that developed through my practice and discipline of sobriety, but I developed commitment. I developed delayed gratification. I developed determination. Starting this YouTube channel, going into a space, quitting cannabis, at a time when cannabis is receiving all the praises, took a lot of resilience. The channel didn't always have as much love as it has today. It actually started out with mostly hate comments and people insulting and bashing me, the way I look, the way I speak, the things that I talk about, my credentials. I had to be incredibly resilient to get to 1,000 videos later. But if I hadn't practiced that commitment, that delayed gratification, that resilience, that tenacity, that grit, if I hadn't developed those muscles in my commitment to quitting cannabis throughout my sobriety journey, none of this ever would have existed. And whether you're in business for yourself, whether you're in a committed relationship or you're trying to get into a better relationship, whether you're on a fitness journey and you got to lose some weight and clean up your diet and your nutrition, maybe it's a journey of improving mental health, these are all traits that you're going to need to succeed. So this is what we're talking about. Just quitting cannabis, yes, you'll save money. But in order to make money, in order to invest money, in order to stomach the highs and financial lows that you experience on an entrepreneurship journey, if that's something that you're on, you need delayed gratification. You need resilience. You need commitment. If you want to have a healthy marriage, you need resilience. You need commitment. You need delayed gratification. It's the same thing for your physical health, your mental health, your faith practice. And you can develop each of those traits through practicing sobriety. So if you don't know why you want to quit weed, if you're struggling to stay motivated in your quit or your reasons why, let this video be that for you. And if you really need some help, I have a free 7-step guide on how to quit cannabis below in the pinned comment, right beneath the link for the Exploro test kit. And then we have one-on-one coaching programs where I'll work with you directly and help you further develop this mindset to make sure that you have a successful path of, becoming recovered from cannabis. And look, I'll say one last thing. I don't need to be resilient not to smoke weed anymore. That part of my life is done, it's over, it's gone, it doesn't exist, I could care less. But I'm thankful that I went through it because of the development of those character traits and being able to apply them to different aspects of my life. That's what quitting weed is about. That's what not smoking, not drinking, not watching adult media content, that's what it's really about. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the pinned comment in the video description.